Oh, hi.
Hi.
I left and I was like, how do I get back in?
Welcome back, Bernadette, and please share your thought process behind this.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this series. Maybe you can show a few ones because I have been working on them since 2015, actually. And this was when I was living in Miami Beach, and I started seeing all these strip clubs and sex stores. And I was intrigued by this inflatable love dolls that they sell on sex stores, which is basically an inflatable woman that you can use for sex purposes. And it struck my attention how this was like sort of an abstract, strange representation of the female body that would reduce the female body into three holes, and they're called three-hole dolls. So I had the idea of buying these inflatable love dolls and then filling up with this very specific mix of concrete. And then after it's dry, I kind of peel the plastic doll, and this is what is left. So each sculpture is different. There's no way to make two that are alike, and they're all changed because of the mix of concrete, because of the temperature of the air, because of so many factors. And it turns this inflatable love doll into something entirely different, because now this is a very heavy sculpture. You can't move it, you can't play with it, and it just creates a whole new object from this. And then also in material wise, I like how it it looks like it's soft and bouncy, but when you touch it, it's really hard. So it creates this very unique object. And then I chose to make it without the extremities, without the head or the arms or the legs, because I think of them as this Hellenistic torsos that you see in all the museums in Europe, like when you go to Greece or when you go to the Louvre in Paris. There is all these salons full of these torsos of statues that were found, and they're all representation of the human body, female and male. So to me, this is a new contemporary representation of the female body. And it's also a commentary on how the female body is objectified in such a way that this type of object exists.
Yes. And I'm sorry to interrupt. I just have one question. Do you think as an artist it is so painful, because when you are representing an idea and you are representing a very hard idea, emotionally very hard idea, do you think that as an artist you must have gone through a lot of pain while creating this particular project?
I didn't go through pain while creating this project, but but I did grow up in Venezuela, which is a very chauvinistic country, and I personally have been a victim of assault, so I'm very familiar with what it is and how it feels to be objectified. So it comes from a very deep part of me when I talk about these issues, but when I'm working about it, I don't find it painful. In fact, I think that I like how I see these sculptures and they make me happy. I think they're a bit funny. I like that. I like to turn really serious things in funny things and just laugh about it.
Yes. And first of all, thank you so much for sharing the thoughts behind this. And second thing which I really want to share from my personal experience, because since I am also an immigrant, originally I am from India, and I completed my architecture studies back in India, and then I moved to Europe. And when you are an immigrant in a new country, so world is completely new for you, and when you are doing things, so you kind of face so many things. But do you feel sometimes that when you are having these kind of experiences, that what you just showed me, that and what you told us, that you have had some bad experience in past in Venezuela, and then you observe this thing that how women are being objectified in the world. Do you think at some point that as a person you are being shaped up by all of these experiences, all of these hard experiences which we all goes through?
Yeah, of course. And that is, I mean, that is a lot of why am I intrigued by the whole idea of gender. So I question myself, how much of it am I truly biologically attached to my gender, and how much of it was taught to me that I should feel or behave this way because I am taught to be a girl or a woman, which I very much am. I consider myself a she, and I see myself a woman. But yeah, I wonder how much of it is taught, and how much. And so yeah, obviously the fact that I grew up in Venezuela and how I was shaped and how I was brought up, like, has so much to do with my personality.
Yes, I see. And there is one thing which I want to ask. When I'm working with House Galleria, so the purpose of House Galleria is that to celebrate good designs and designers and artists. Do you think that when we are what you just shared with us, it is in a way is a celebration to so many of those thoughts which are not being shared, and let's say not being like there's no accessibility for these kind of thoughts, and through design, through an artwork, like these things are getting celebrated, and not just a good building but a good idea fostered into a good sculpture. So do you think that as a society, when we are celebrating good designers, we are not celebrating just good designers but good designs and good artists? Do you think that in a way we can inspire society, or we can help a society get transformed into a better version of ourselves?
Yes, of course. I think it is so important to see what other designers and artists are doing and what their thought is behind everything that they choose, to better understand what goes on. I think it is so inspiring. I mean, to me, it inspires me so much to talk and see what other creatives are doing.
Mm. And do you constantly go and check about, like, sometimes to get an inspiration, sometimes to when you are bored and you are just checking? I'm sure you are not bored because you are working all the time, but when you get time, maybe you are going through an Instagram account or something that you like is there your personal experience from where you withdraw some inspiration and it helped you make a better design or a better project or something?
Um, yes, I mean, sadly, I don't think I mean, sometimes I see like amazing things of Instagram, but maybe I've seen so much of it that it's hard for me to like really get inspired by something I see. What has been like the hardest for me in this quarantine, I think, is haven't been able to go to the museum or exhibits, because I would get so much out of it just to go to like a good art opening and see, and just see myself next to these pieces is an entirely different experience as what you see online. And that is what, that is what hurts me the most, I think, out of it. I mean, I would get so much, like back in Miami, to visiting the Pan Museum and just like being in that Herzog Memorial Building, just being in that space like gives me so much information and inspiration, and then actually seeing the artwork. But yeah, I go a lot online and, on like websites, and read about what's going on and see photographs of new buildings and new art and a lot of painting. But
And
sometimes it becomes too much.
sorry.
Sometimes like through Instagram, it becomes so much that it's overwhelming. And I feel like I
Yes.
end up not getting anything.
Yes, you're right. And I think it's so important for maybe because we as I told you that I work with House Galleria, and we take so much responsibility in our job what we are doing, because we don't see ourselves as someone who is just sharing the story, but we try to take the best possible stories, and we try to share it with the people who just want to create a better world. Because I think there is so much noise out there, because people are just putting whatever they want to put. In a way it is good, because so many artists and so many people get the voice and the platform to share the voice. But at the same time, I think there should be an existence of good platforms who share very very high quality material, and you just don't get lost in the world out there. Do you think that there should be certain platforms who are sharing good design works, who are sharing very high quality, very high thought processed work, so that people don't get lost? In a way, they find themselves when they're looking all of those projects.
Yes, totally. Yeah, I would subscribe to any platform that would be like curating, in a way, the content of it. So what I like about Instagram is the freedom of like just looking at anything. You can stomp into anything, but it does get overwhelming because there's no. I mean, you see an image of a cat, and then you see some like news about Trump, and then you see some great painting. You're like, all right, like what am I doing? Very confusing.
Yes. And with your architecture side, do you follow certain style as your style? Like, do you follow maybe a lot of, in a lot of your project, modernism is visible or contemporary architecture is visible? Like, do you have that kind of style which you follows?
I don't know. We looked at a lot of like residential construction. We do a lot of we do a lot of research into what is being built and what people like in a way.
Yes.
So we do a lot. I mean, we mostly look about residential construction in Florida.
Okay. So this is my last question, and I just I want to sum up with this, and after that we will have a rapid fire round. So my question is, as an artist, as an architect, I just want to know the process. Suppose if I am a client and I am coming to Bernadette and that, okay, I'm asking you to make a good villa for me, and like what's the process with which you start? Because I like we talk to a lot of architects and then they explain their process, and I'm sure a lot of architects are artists, but since you are very unique in a way because you have both the things in your hands, so we want to know your process, how you goes through the project.
To me, the first question when it comes to an architecture project is, where are you doing it? Like the climate, the environment, and the place where you're doing it, it's everything. You can't even start thinking about a building or a shape or a home if you don't know like the exact location of it. You know, especially now when like we should focus so much into creating sustainable work. So this is how like art and architecture are so different, because architecture, you have so many guidelines to follow that are so important. And so the first question to me is like, where is this and what is this for? You know, is this a house? Is this a museum? Is this an office? Who is this serving? But especially, where in the world is this located? Is it cold weather? Is it like in Miami, which is very humid, it floods, anti-hurricane? Like it's so much different to design something in Miami than to design something, let's say, in Oaxaca, which is also in front of the beach, but the whole construction is entirely different. The materials that you find are different. The people that build it is different. So I think the place in where you make it changes everything. And you know, this is why I really love the Pan Museum by Harrison de Moro, because what I love about their architecture, and I think they are geniuses, is that their buildings are so different from each other. And I think it is because they know how to really understand the place of where the buildings are done, which is so different as other architects like Frank Gehry, who are more like the signature building, which is kind of all the buildings are very similar from each other. And then you're like, you know, I would imagine that the people that hire them want the signature building, but it's hard to me as an architect to think that I would arrive to the exact same answer for a building in Beijing, but for a building in Miami, for example, when the locations are so different.
Perfect. So now in this rapid fire round, so this is like, I'll give you two options, and in that you have to very quickly select one option. BMW or Mercedes?
Mercedes.
LA or Miami?
LA.
Contemporary or modernism?
Modernism.
Zaha or Frank Gehry?
Zaha.
Whiskey or vodka?
Whiskey.
Ferrari or Lamborghini?
Lamborghini.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.